Hello friends, I am Guna Mathivanan, Current Affairs faculty at Offices IAS Academy. In this video, I will be explaining the 25th Current Affairs list topic, that is compulsory licensing. Okay. So what is compulsory licensing? We will see the definition first. These are authorizations given to a third party to make, use or sell a particular product or a particular process that has been patented without the need of permission of patent owner. Let's take an example. Now, Guna Pharma. Now, Guna Pharma is coming up with a drug. This drug can cure cancer. Okay, some cancer drug, life-saving drug. But I got patent. I got it patented for 20 years. But this is a life-saving drug because cancer drug, life-saving drug. Okay. So now, in such situation, when it is a life-saving drug, in Indian Patents Act, we have a provision for compulsory licensing. So when a drug, when a product or a process, which is something life-saving, so in this example, I took a drug. If it is going to be a life-saving drug, in that situation, Government of India can give compulsory licensing to a third party. Right, Government of India can authorize a third party to produce the same drug without even getting a permission from Guna Pharma. Guna Pharma, they have got patent for 20 years. That's okay. But Guna Pharma's permission will not be asked. Why? It is going to be a life-saving. If it is going to be a life-saving drug, then a compulsory license can be given to a third party by Government of India, and this third party can produce, can sell, can produce, manufacture and can sell the same drug. And can sell the same drug. Right? This is the idea of compulsory licensing. But this licensing can be given only in that emergency situation, when there is a life-saving situation, that you have to remember. Now you may ask, sir, is it not violating the WTO TRIPS agreement? What is TRIPS agreement? In WTO, there are various agreements signed by the member countries. TRIPS is Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights Agreement. So there is an agreement which is signed by the member countries of WTO related to intellectual property, patent, copyright, trademarks. We all know about that, right? So this intellectual property, regarding that an agreement has been signed. Whether is it not violating, India is doing compulsory licensing, is it not violating the TRIPS agreement? No, it is not violating because even TRIPS agreement is also having a provision for compulsory licensing. Indian Patent Act is also having a provision for compulsory licensing, and TRIPS agreement is also having a provision for compulsory licensing. Now you may ask, sir, is there any example where India has used this extraordinary power? Yes, India has used it. India has used it. What is TRIPS? I have given. You can go through. TRIPS is an agreement between the member countries of WTO, which came into effect in 1995 regarding protecting intellectual property rights. This TRIPS agreement itself has a provision for compulsory licensing. Now, I asked a question, whether did India ever use compulsory licensing? Yes, we used in 2012. Only once. So far, we have used only once in 2012. So this Bayer, a foreign pharma company, they came with a drug for cancer. They came with a drug for cancer. That drug, right, which is called as Nexavar 200, right? Nexavar 200. This drug, 1 month course, this drug was costing almost 3 lakh rupees, I guess, 2.7, 2.8, roughly 3 lakh rupees, assume. 1 month, 30 days, tablets for 30 days is 3 lakh rupees. They were selling it, they patented it. Okay, they got the patent and they were selling it at a very high price. Now what India did, it's a cancer drug, life-saving drug. So India came with compulsory licensing. It asked a third party, Natco Pharma Limited, a Karnataka based pharma company, right? Government asked this Natco Pharma Limited to produce the same drug, Okay, Nexavar is the brand, assume. Actual drug is called as sorafenib. So the same sorafenib drug was manufactured and it was sold in the market by Natco Pharma Limited for what price? For just 8,500 rupees. What was sold for 3 lakh rupees was sold by Natco Pharma India Limited for 8,500 rupees. Only once India used. See friends, this compulsory licensing topic is very important to understand the issue in RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. I will explain about this in the subsequent classes. Also to understand the BTIE agreement, broad-based trade and investment agreement, proposed FTA between India and European Union, right? RCEP is also a proposed FTA between 16 countries, but however India walked out it, right? We will discuss about RCEP BTIA in the coming classes. But to understand these kind of serious topics, we should know the significance of this compulsory licensing. Also in the backdrop of current COVID-19 also, we should know the importance of compulsory licensing. We can expect a question in the exam. Okay. Now what is the procedure? What is the prerequisite? The TRIPS agreement, they say for issuing compulsory licensing under TRIPS agreement, there is a procedure. What is the procedure? Normally the third party who is going to produce. So in this example, we took the case of Natco. So this Natco, first step, they have to negotiate with Bayer. First step, they have to negotiate with Bayer for obtaining voluntary licensing. What is voluntary licensing? That means if Bayer, if they themselves can give a license to a third party to produce, they themselves can give license to a third party to produce the drug, that is called as voluntary licensing. So the first step will be the Natco should interact with Bayer, negotiate with Bayer to get voluntary licensing. If voluntary licensing is failed, only if that fails, then compulsory license can be issued. And even once compulsory license is issued to Natco, right, this Natco, even after getting the compulsory license, they have to pay some compensation to Bayer. Some compensation, now it will not be heavy compensation, some compensation has to be paid to this Bayer company, right? Some adequate remuneration has to be paid. And this compulsory licensing must meet certain additional requirements. What is that? The scope and duration of the license should be limited to the purpose. Okay, now let us assume that now for COVID, some drug or some vaccine is being made by some company, right? Now definitely other countries, they will go for compulsory licensing, but the compulsory licensing should be for a said period only, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You have to clearly define only for how many years the compulsory licensing is going to be given. Okay, so you have to limit the conditions to the purpose for which it is being granted. You cannot exploit this option. Compulsory licensing cannot be exploited. Okay, and as I said, the first step is go and negotiate for a voluntary license, and this step can be skipped. This step can be skipped only when there is national emergency or of extreme emergency. Only when there is national emergency or extreme urgency, only in that situation, the first step of negotiation can be bypassed. These points you have to keep it in mind. From prelims point of view, this becomes very important, right? Amended TRIPS. In 2001 in Doha, there was a ministerial conference. In that conference, some more provisions were added. Let us imagine a situation. Now Sri Lanka, assume that they don't have big pharma companies, but inside Sri Lanka they want to give compulsory licensing for a particular drug, but they don't have pharma companies, so they can, under this TRIPS agreement was slightly amended to include certain features. One feature is, let us take the example of Sri Lanka. Now Sri Lanka, they are giving compulsory licensing. They want to give compulsory licensing to a company and they want to produce drugs to help the Sri Lankans. But however, in Sri Lanka there is no pharma company. Assume, I do not know whether they have or not. Assume they don't have. small country, they don't have. Now they can seek the help of India, they can ask an Indian pharma company to produce those drugs and they can get it from Indian pharma company. A provision was added, a provision was added. So if countries are unable to manufacture the pharmaceuticals, should be able to obtain cheaper copies produced under compulsory licensing elsewhere if necessary. And you should also know, this agreement also covers not just pharma products, it includes medicines, vaccines, diagnostics to fight a particular disease. Even diagnostics can also be covered under this. Okay, this is regarding amended TRIPS. Okay, I hope you got some clarity on compulsory licensing, right? Based on whatever we have discussed, I have constructed a question, find out the correct answer and give in the comment section, right? If you like this initiative, you can give your feedback, that will motivate us, right, in the comment section. I hope it was useful. Here I have given the highlights of the current affairs course which I have launched. If you are interested, you can go through and I can call on to the number given in the slide below. So I will meet you tomorrow with another exciting topic. Till then, bye and take care.